All right, let's talk a little bit about sports products concepts. It's chapter 7 in your book, and we're going to start with a general overview and then talk a little bit about physical goods. First, customers assess your firm's value to them through the products and services you offer. So products are a key important element for sports marketing products, whether those products are goods, services, or experiences. And eventually, all organizations are judged by the success of their products. The idea behind sports products starts with the marketing concept, which is, of course, identifying unmet wants and needs, designing a good service or experience to satisfy those wants and needs, to reach both the goals of the organization and the purchaser of those goods. It's also based in the ideas expressed in the exchange theory paradigm, where the issue is understanding why people make exchanges. That is, why people exchange money for goods, money for services, money for experiences, or perhaps time for goods and time for services and time for experiences. The easiest example, of course, is you as a student. You are exchanging time and money to the university, and of course the university in turn is supposed to be providing you with an education and a degree, and that exchange process has lots of parts to it and lots of moving parts to it, and the marketer needs to understand what needs to be done to facilitate that exchange. So let's start again with the idea of a product. A product is a need-satisfying offering. A product can be anything that can be offered to satisfy a want or need. It could be a physical good, a service, a person, a place, an organization, an idea, an experience. And marketers, as we talked about previously, like to view products as bundles of attributes or benefits. Okay, now, the key here, of course, is to provide something the customer wants and needs. And that goes back then to the marketing concept. Sports product classification schemes. The book wanted to use this particular approach. I think this is fine, I think, for looking at what we're talking about. So, for example, goods are tangible physical goods, like a $100 golf shirt or a $100 UNLV logoed sweatshirt. A service would be something intangible, an intangible activity performed on your behalf. So if you're playing golf, it could be a $100 caddy, someone who's going to carry your clubs and help you figure out distances and read greens and do those sorts of things. An experience is all about the time spent. So that might be, for instance, a $100 golf outing. The golf outing is not a service, it's not a good, it's all about the experience. One more example that is more driven towards selling sport as a good or a service or an experience. Tangible physical good would be maybe $100 in hats and souvenirs, food and beverage that you might spend when you go to the stadium or the arena to watch your favorite team. It could be the intangible activities performed on your behalf, like $100 you might spend in stadium valet parking. And then finally, it's the experience. That is the time spent. That is the $100 you spent on a baseball game ticket. The actual baseball game is not a service, it's an experience. So let's talk about physical goods. That is sporting goods. They are the physical, tangible, need-satisfying offerings. And it's any physical item that can be offered to satisfy a want or need. And once again, as we talked about before, the key is providing something the customer wants and needs and satisfies them in terms of those wants and needs. Some of the core sports products goods decisions would be determining the price. And of course, I have here, there are two approaches to determining the price. One way to determine the price is to have an idea of what the price will be before you start to design the product. The other approach would be to design the product and then figure out how much it costs and then set the price. The first approach is the approach that that is used by people like Honda, who decide how much they're going to charge for a car and then design the car around that price. Many of the car manufacturers like Chevrolet use the opposite approach. That is, they design the car and then they figure out how much they're going to have to charge for it. And if they have to go back and remove some attributes or something to get the price to the right level, they do that. The second aspect of designing a sporting good are the attributes and features. And of course, this is typically the most critical aspect for new product designers. That is, what attributes and features will the product have? Will the automobile that we're producing have four-wheel drive? Will it have a convertible? Those are features and attributes. For sporting goods, the real question is, will it have particular features and attributes? And of course, oftentimes adding features and attributes adds to the cost to produce the good, and then again, that then adds to the price that we have to charge. An example I have over here on the right-hand side would be something like golf clubs. Other factors would be the styling. What should the product look like? The quality levels. You know, we have multiple quality levels, you know, from very high quality to medium levels of quality to minimum acceptable levels of quality. What kinds of accessories might we add? You know, when you buy something at the store like a laptop computer, it comes with a number of accessories, including software. There is the potential to have to sell installation. I have a friend who owns a sporting goods company in LA. It's the largest independent golf retailer in the Los Angeles Valley. They spend a lot of their time fitting people with golf clubs after they've purchased them. That's a lot like installation. That is, they are customizing those clubs to make sure that they're the absolute perfect fit for that individual after the purchase. Instructions, warranties, and of course, after the purchase, service support are all parts of core sports product, and in particular, goods decisions. Now, let's talk a little bit about sports product line decisions. So, you're a golf club manufacturer and you decide you're going to start producing golf club drivers, the club that hits the ball the furthest. Well, how many products should be in that line? You might have just one driver with one loft, but that's not very likely. You're much more likely to have multiple versions of the drivers with multiple lofts. And so it would be very easy to end up with 10 different drivers instead of simply one. So the question is always, how many products in that line is the right number of products? Okay, so I'm a golf manufacturer like TaylorMade, and I have 6 different drivers, and they just recently came out with another new driver. And then of course the newest driver is always the most expensive and always the most technologically advanced, and so that product ends up at the top of the line, and everything else sort of gets moved down the line. So in their case, this is a line stretch up. That is, they add a product to the top of the line and charge more money for it. Another option is to add a product at the bottom of the line. That is a least expensive entry-level product to get people involved in the sport. So for instance, I make drivers, and I have a $600 driver and a $500 driver and a $400 driver. But I've priced some people out of the market. So what I do is I go in and figure out a way to produce a $200 driver. It doesn't have all the features. Maybe it doesn't perform quite as well as the $700 driver, but it is still an option. Now, line stretching up is sometimes a problem because people won't don't want to trade up to the very high, most expensive version. So sometimes it's not successful because people won't pay the extra money. Line stretching down is also potentially dangerous because people sort of see that as a cheap version, and sometimes it cheapens the overall perceived quality of the products that are in the line, and of course that then reduces brand equity. Some companies will line stretch in both directions at the same time. And then other companies will line fill. That is, they'll have a top product and they'll have a bottom product, but they will add more products to the middle of the line so that people can have options in terms of the particular price that they have in mind and the particular features that they have in mind. When we talk about product line decisions, we often want to do a product line analysis. And of course, part of the idea behind a product line analysis is to evaluate each product in the line in terms of sales. Some companies will have 7 or 8 products in a product line, but typically most of their sales are focused on 1 or 2 or maybe 3 of the alternatives, and the rest of those products in the line really don't sell much. The second thing you want to look at is the profits. So some products in your product line have bigger profit margins, and therefore they are ones that you would prefer that people bought. The third thing that you have to do when you do a product line analysis is look at the position that those products hold in the line. That is, some products you have because the competitors have that product, and so you need to have a product that matches theirs. That's the competitive aspect of why a product is in a line. The other reason that a product might be in the line is because it fills a gap in terms of price points or fills a gap in terms of features. And so when we do a product line analysis, we're interested in sales, we're interested in profits, and we're interested in what position does that product hold in the line and competitively. Another set of product line decisions focuses on reducing products that you have in your product line. And of course, that's called line modernization. When do I decide to take certain products out of the line? In some cases, that's referred to as line pruning. And so line pruning is a situation where we cut particular products that we have in our product line because they simply don't sell enough, or they don't have enough profit, or they really no longer hold an important position. Line modernization, of course, is upgrading everything, eliminating some of the products that are not modern, or that are too old, that don't have the features that everybody expects today, and we line modernization. That is, we bring our product line up to date. And then another thing that product lines have to decide is the concept of line featuring. That is, if I'm only going to be able to market one product in the line, which product do I market? Many organizations do something called flagshipping. That is, they only really market their #1 brand, their most expensive brand, their flagship brand, the one that they think is the very best product they have in their line. The opposite approach is called traffic building. Okay, in the traffic building, the idea is I market my least expensive brand to get to people to come in and look at the brand, and then I try to sell them up the product line as far up as I can, hopefully to the flagship brand. So one of the ideas behind the traffic builder is to get traffic into the store and get people looking at our brand online, and then the goal is to trade those people up. An illegal approach to trading people up is called bait and switch. Now, bait and switch happens when we advertise a particular product and we have no intention of selling it. It's always out of stock. It basically is never available. Then we have product mix decisions. Okay, so product mix decisions focus on how many product lines are we going to have? Okay, and so the width of the product mix is the number of lines. So I have golf drivers, and then I have golf irons, and then I have golf wedges, and then I have golf putters, and then I have a line of golf balls, and then maybe I have a line of golf shoes. Those all add to the width of the product lines. That is the number of product lines I have. The number of items in each line is referred to the depth of the product mix. So in some cases, I might have a wide product line that is shallow. That is, only has a couple of options in each area. In another case, I might have only a couple of different product lines, but lots of alternatives in each line, in which case that would be referred to as a as a narrow wide, or I mean a narrow deep product line. So when I multiply the width times the depth, I get the product line length. So lots of companies get the product line length in very different ways. The more products I have in the lines, the more lines I have, the longer the length of my product assortment, the more difficult it is to manage all of those individual options in the lines. Another aspect about product mix is the idea of consistency. That is, the product should all be consistent. I shouldn't have high quality drivers and low quality irons, or I shouldn't have professional grade baseball gloves, but minor league grade baseball bats. And then the last part in this is this issue of complementary. And of course, complementary has to do with having products that help generate sales for each other. So I have golf woods, and then I also have golf irons, because lots of people like to play the woods and the irons from the same company. And then maybe it's golf shoes, but then I don't add baseball shoes, because that would be inconsistent. So if I'm making 3 different drivers, I could add a 4th driver, or I could add something that might be complementary rather than competing with my own line. In summary, sporting goods marketers need to be able to focus on providing need-satisfying offerings to our customer base.